Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the show today. This is Night Owls, and we're going to be talking about creativity. It should be interesting because there's a lot of creativity going on. I don't know if I approve all of it, but hey, when you take someone else's work and you twist it into what you want, that's creativity. But nevertheless, of course, I'm sitting here with Thundero and Booster, both of them, same time. It's pretty awesome. Something that's interesting, guys. You remember how YouTube put up all that extra authentication that you had to do to get in about 6 months or 8 months ago, and it
Mm.
slowed us down. We had to be patient and wait. Streamlabs got them though. They got them. What they
Oh,
did was they went through all that kind of stuff and they held the video launch until the last second. So now the audience at least doesn't have to sit and wait and like what's going on. It's been 10 seconds, 20 seconds. So they don't have to suffer. It's just us. Are you
mm.
happy about that? I'm happy about that. Streamlabs
I'm
got
I'm
them.
so happy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that the audience no longer has to wait 10 whole seconds of their life.
Now, I think it's appropriate. I mean, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but YouTube changed something. No. Yeah.
What have they
Uh,
done this time, the rascals?
well, they just went and made it more and more difficult to stream into their YouTubes without using their YouTube stuff. They don't like it. You see, they don't want you to use some OBS or StreamYards or Zoom or something like that and come into their property. I mean, God, how dare you? That's kind of the attitude they seem to have. And they keep trying to make it more and more difficult. But yep. There's other people in the world who are smart. Yeah, it's pretty good. So, how was your weekend, Booster?
I don't have weekends, I'm unemployed now.
Oh, okay. I see. I understand that concept. You know what I did? I sat last night while I was reading, and I had on the YouTube. I was watching people cut grass. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Why?
I don't know, but I liked it. I don't.
That sucks, Jester. I hate that.
Sorry, dude. What do you think about that, Thundero? Me just listening to grass being mowed.
Um, I have to agree with Booster on this one. Why, in God's name,
I don't
would
know.
anybody want to watch that?
It was quite relaxing.
Oh, I
Professionals
hate the
doing their
sound of a
job.
lawnmower. Oh, I hate lawnmowers. Hate them.
Well, I have an incredible YouTube series for you. Watch paint dry. You might love it.
I might. I might. To be fair, I am doing something else at the same time, but I don't know. I just really thought it was soothing. It was soothing, Booster. Do you have problems with soothingness?
Yes!
All right. Well, there's your
I'm
problem.
angry and agitated all the time.
That is fair. That is fair. So how about you, Thunder? How was your weekend, man? What'd you do?
Oh, what did I do? My wife was sick all weekend, except for today. She felt better, but she
Oh,
was
that's good.
real sick from Friday night till today. So nothing really. Then we went and shopped, and I bought some new shirts since I've lost so much weight. Um, gonna have to do that every so many months, but that's fine. Um, she bought a dress and a couple pairs of pants because we've been losing weight. So other than that,
Yeah.
nothing.
Oh,
It
that
was
sounds
nice though. My governor is finally. Well, I'm not even gonna say that. My governor has removed like the mask nonsense for people who are vaccinated. But since there's no real way for them to check that, a lot of the stores have just stopped with it.
hmm
So we got to actually shop without masks on. Then we went to a J.C. Penney and we were going to do a little bit more shopping, and one of the people there was crying, so we just left. Because I'm
Oh,
not
I
putting it
see.
back on. I don't care. Don't care. They're
Yeah.
going to have to literally force me with violence to do so.
Oh no, I understand that, and I don't wear them usually. But I mean, if it's a situation like a clinic or if it's just some situation where someone asks me to, like the business, I put it on. I don't really care. But usually I don't have to wear it. But then again, the Japanese have never had any mandate about the mask whatsoever. It's simply a suggestion. But you can't in Japan. You can't mandate anything like that anyway. There's no, the government doesn't have that authority. But they asked about this or that, and certain companies or businesses ask, and if they do, I'll wear it. I don't have a problem with it. But I understand the bullshit of it. I do think it's funny with the CDC now saying that if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. It's funny because just last week they were saying you got to wear a mask, and
Yeah.
then this week you don't have to. And in the interim, there were no scientific tests. There were no studies. There was so
You
why
see, Chester, just
why?
like when they decided that everybody needs to wear a mask
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
within about a week's time, you see the science had changed. You see, because that's how quickly science changes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh wait, no, it's not. It was all bullshit from the start.
of course it
All
was.
of it.
Of course it was.
And the CDC admitted it without admitting it by just changing the rules because. Oh, and by the way, they're still recommending children wear masks in schools though.
No, of course. Yeah, that's perfect.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but no,
Because it's all bullshit. That's why.
well,
All of it.
they have been flip-flopping on the mask thing the whole time. But well, whatever. I mean, don't wear a mask, whatever. If I go to a place and they ask me to wear one, I'll put one on. It's that simple. I don't really care. It doesn't mean anything. But here in Japan, they haven't panicked at all anyway, so it's no big deal. But going forward, it should be interesting to see how it goes because clearly the more liberal places in America are going to push this mandate for years. Because if you listen to Fauci, he's like, we may never be able to even shake hands again. The dumbass said. And for me, I think it's personally funny to see how much is coming out that puts this whole damn thing on his plate. How ironic. That's irony, Booster. That's the definition of it.
Is that irony? I wasn't listening.
It was. Yeah.
What about a fire truck on fire? What if you get run over by an ambulance and killed?
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I think I would call that political parody. There's a word for that, Thundero.
Yes.
Cynicism? No,
Oh,
no,
I'm calling it irony.
no.
My rule is, and this will be my rule for the rest of my life. Any expert who changes their opinion during a crisis or supposed crisis is no expert, and you shouldn't listen to them.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Period.
Devilish Borden says because Chester is old. They like to throw that one at me. Eric says soothe yourself in your own time. Fine, Eric. Fine. Alan says hit that age when you want those damn kids to get off your lawn, not just physically but metaphysically as well. Yeah, I'm about 20 years out for that one. That's all right. Little by little, small baby steps. Baby steps. I've actually never been annoyed by the sound of kids. I kind of rather like it. I like the sound of kids and women gossiping and chit chatting. Booster.
And
I like that
lawnmowers
sound.
for some
And
reason.
lawnmowers, yeah.
Oh my god.
I think he's like a reverse annoyed person. So things that typically annoy normal people, he just finds fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I was to hypothetically do this, do you like that, Chester?
Well, the good thing is your mic is shit, so it cut out. It's perfect.
I don't know why my mic cuts out when I do high-pitched squeals. I think it's because of the Discord's little fucking echo cancellation shit.
Well, I mean, there might be some software in there, but I think it's just your mic. I've heard that sound before. I think someone was beating a fur seal. Yeah. No? Nobody? Come on.
What Chester's done?
What? Now that you can stop that right now.
Chester does it.
You don't need that at all.
Chester.
Thunder, do something about it.
Oh, Chester does it.
Oh, shit. All right, guys. Well, let's jump into this. Certainly happy to have you here. We got Lady Celtic Moon, Roger as well, Devilish, Eric, and Alan, and everybody else who's listening. Thank you very much. Please do hit the share button
And everyone who's left.
Whoever's left, after my lawnmower video rant. But let people know so they come in here and join us. But we got some stuff to talk about. So let me come over here and share. So these guys can see what I'm talking about, and I'm gonna start out with something something fun. I think. I think we need funness a little bit because there's not a lot of funness. So let me get this up and get this back up like that. Like, oh, there it is. And then do like that. Boom. Now, H.P. Lovecraft. Are you guys fans?
Yes.
I like his writing.
I know of him.
Now, well, I've actually read. Well, I don't know if I've read it all. I probably have read it all, to be honest with you. All those old those writers from that crew, that age, I've read all their stuff. But I enjoyed Lovecraft's stuff quite a bit. He's a really good writer. He can set a tone and a mood really well, and I've always appreciated that. He's also from my home
Great name for
state.
cats. Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, that's that's fine. He is from my state, so there's a little bit of pride there as well. But the Booster brings up a good point with H.P. Lovecraft. These days, they're trying really hard to cancel him. So, yeah,
So everything they can just to catch. It's the strangest thing. Not
Yeah.
Karl Marx. So Karl Marx was just a product of his time.
I
But
guess.
H.P. Lovecraft, he should have known better.
Didn't Karl Marx have sex with children?
And he also liked his N-word.
He did.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan of the black peoples, or surprisingly, his own people, the Jewish people. Didn't like them. Didn't like either of them.
A self-hating Jew. What a shock.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, we talked about it a few times on this channel about how in the West, black people have had kind of a turbulent history, not only dealing with, of course, things like slavery, but coming to modern times and welfare that's caused big harm and yada yada yada. But one of the things about the Western black community is they certainly have gained a much higher level of education, though, which is good, right? That's always a good thing. That doesn't have racial boundaries, right? But to be fair, back in this time, black people in general, in the vast, vast, vast majority, were horribly uneducated and not undereducated, but just uneducated. But then again, of course, the average person was as well. Yeah. So I don't think it mattered. I don't think black had anything to do with it. Maybe he was just a racist Booster. Maybe they scared him.
maybe.
Maybe they scared him.
Maybe.
Who cares? Whatever. There's plenty of people who have foibles. Foibles makes character. How's that?
Foibles.
Anyway, H.P. Lovecraft, I enjoy his stuff. I don't really care if someone wants to cancel or not. That's your business. Because if we get into that business, then we're not going to have much left to read, Thundero. I mean, honestly,
True.
if you look in
True,
the lives
yeah.
of a lot of writers, they're pretty much
Well,
shitheads.
we'll have to read terrible African writers. Just terrible ones. Not the good ones, the terrible ones. Because you see, this whole thing to them is a form of penance. It's an exercise in misery.
Oh, it's
So they
like
want you to not read
self-flagellation?
good stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yeah.
It's like you see, we have Storm, a great black female character, but for whatever reason, we can't use her in anything meaningful. No, we gotta turn Superman black because everybody wants that, except literally no one wants that. No one.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen nobody who's like, yeah, it's a great idea, except for the furthest left, craziest, whitest looking woman.
Yeah, no, Karens
I
are a
want to
problem.
see Superman fly down and say, "Where the white woman at?"
Yeah, he might. There's a new Superman coming. He might well do that. But isn't it odd that it turns out in the end the real true face of evil is Karen?
Yeah,
That's interesting. It is
well,
interesting.
it's not really. I mean, most mythology was warning us about the danger of evil women.
That's fair. They
Especially
have
white
done that
woman.
for quite a while, yeah. H.P. Lovecraft is a great writer, very accomplished, very capable, very educated man, and he had a face for the macabre, I would say. Yeah, he's a freaky looking dude, perfect. Of course, he was also a bit of a shut-in, and he was neurotic as hell. I mean, he had a lot of problems, but he did put out some really good books, and of course, from his books, uh, a lot of the modern world comes out of a lot of those writers from that time, Howard and Lovecraft, of course, Tolkien as well, and we owe a lot to him. Well, you guys know I like Star Wars board games, and there are just an incredible amount of tabletop games that are basically using the Lovecraftian themes in their mechanics and in their style and stuff like that. Now here are four that are well known. You guys might know some of these. Call of Cthulhu, the card game. That's an old one. But it was a fun game. It was kind of following in the lines of Magic the Gathering, Jihad, which is Vampire the Masquerade card game that came out. This one as well. It's very similar to that and that kind of play, and it's not a bad game. Then of course these are all coming out of Fantasy Flight games, which used to make books. They used to make tabletop role playing books, but then they became one of the biggest board game production companies. Arkham Horror is a great game. It's a bit old, and the amount of expansions to this, I don't know, it's like 30, 40. It's an insane amount. If you have all of the Arkham Horror expansions, it'll literally take up a couple of bookshelves. It's quite impressive. But it's still to this day the go-to for the hardcore Lovecraftian board gamers, though. And it is good, but it takes forever, Booster. So, keep that in mind.
Oh, that's wild, man.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Mansions of Madness is a little bit more compact. You can sit down and play that in the evening. It's a lot of fun. They just came out with a new version so many years back. And this one actually has mobile assistance with it, where they have all the stories are built into it. And when you come to certain areas, you just click a button or answer questions. So they've actually incorporated the mobile device into the board game. I think it's pretty cool. It's a neat update to Mansions of Madness, which is it's kind of a classic as well, a modern classic. Then, of course, we also have Elder Sign. Now, I'm going to talk about Elder Sign a little bit here in a minute, but there are other things as well. There's so many. This right here is called Cthulhu Wars, and if you want to spend $1,000 on a board game, here you go. Now, I do own this game, and the miniatures are fantastic. They stand about a foot tall. They're gigantic, and it's a incredibly overly complicated, involved game, which is wonderful. If you guys are into that, but keep in mind that this one is pricey as hell. When I bought it, I got it on the Kickstarter, and I think it cost me like I don't know, $400 or $500. But
For
it's
$1,000, I would expect to have all of the necessary tools to literally summon Cthulhu. Summon him right now.
Well, it's just that the game has become kind of a classic and a collectible. It's
What
doubled
would you
in
summon
price.
Cthulhu for?
What would I summon him for?
Yeah.
Do you really want to know the answer to that question?
Yeah.
Oh, I can think of many places that
Ta-Nehisi
could use
Coates.
use his touch.
You know, I'm pretty sure like Cthulhu is really sick of people just summoning him for their personal
Hey,
grudges and
That's
stuff.
probably true.
I would
That's-
just be like,
Maybe
hey,
he shouldn't come when we call him. Then you
no,
know,
look, I'm just
maybe
saying.
he should just stay in the ocean.
I'm just saying. I'd be like, hey, how you doing? He's like, oh, well, I don't know.
Hey,
Ask me that.
You want to get some lunch or something? You look
wanna-
like an interesting guy. I'd love to know about
You want to hang out? Yeah, sure. You like
like video
pizza?
games?
You like video
Video
games?
SJW Joshua is giving Lovecraft a hard time, as you should, sir, as you should. But anyway,
Mhm.
if you have the money for it, you can find a copy of it. It is a really good game, but keep in mind it's very involved, and don't bother playing this game unless you got 4 people at the table. I mean, honestly,
Don't
it's-
even bother if you don't
Don't
have
even bother.
friends.
yeah, don't even bother. But it's a fun game. Then of course we also have Cthulhu Realms, which is it's kind of taking a play on the kind of new type of deck builder that just comes in one box. And you have like a little store where you can pick up things, and it's constantly, when you buy something, it's getting replaced from the deck, and you're just kind of going at each other. This is a lot of fun. It's interesting art too. This right, of course, they have a Cthulhu Flux. If you're into the Flux games are a lot of fun, and there's so many different genres. This one is fun as well. But I kind of want to take a second here to talk a little bit about Elder Sign. Elder Sign is a little bit of a newer board game for the Lovecraftian theme things, but I think this is kind of the perfect starting point for people because the instructions are very clear. It's very thematic. It's a lot of fun, and there is a great mobile version for it, as Raythulu has mentioned. I think it's really good. But get it on the table, and basically what you're trying to do is solve your mystery, and of course complete your objective while not going insane. And you're rolling dice, and you're putting dice into certain places to try to finish things, and you need to get more dice, and certain cards can give you access to different dice. It's a lot of fun. It's a definitely a resource management type of game, but it really has a good feel of the Cthulhu mythos, and that's great. I think it's a great starting place if you've never played a Cthulhu board game before. This one you can get and play pretty easily, and it has good feel. Because a lot of the other ones are much more. This is a cheap little game. The other ones can be quite pricey. Like I said, if you have all of the Arkham Horror and all its expansions, I mean, you're probably spending several $1,000s to have all of that, I would imagine. So this is like a little $30-$40 game. It's cheap, and it's fun. It's really, really good. Have either one of you guys ever played any kind of Lovecraftian board game?
I have not.
Actually, I'd say that, but isn't what's it called? Something on the house on the hill? Betrayal on the house on the hill.
Yeah, that's another really good game. Then it has a little bit of that feel. A little bit of that
I would
feel.
say it's got Lovecraftian influence, but I don't know if it's a
Yeah,
Lovecraftian game.
No, it's not directly, but it certainly influenced. You're right. And they have an updated version of that too. Now that's a fun game because you're literally playing out of a book throughout that
Yep.
game. Yeah. And that's
Mhm,
fun. I'm glad that when they did update it, they made that little flip book better. But yeah, there's a lot of good fun games, and if you like the horror theme stuff, I would check it out. There's another little one I mentioned offhand. The Dresden Files came out with a great little narrative board game about a decade ago, maybe 8 years, and it's a nice little tight game. It doesn't. I don't think it's that expensive, and you're basically trying to finish story beats off with dice, similar to Elder Sign here. And of course, the Dresden Files certainly has Lovecraftian tones and feels without question, right? Everything does. That's kind of the point I made in the beginning. Is the amount of influence that Lovecraft has had is impressive, right? It's kind of hard to find something that doesn't have his influence, particularly in the horror genre. So anyway, I'm going to move on, but check some of these out. You might like it. You might like it. And this one right here, I think, also works well with ladies. Some of the other ones, women are capable of sitting down and playing a complicated board game. Of course, they are, but they just don't usually aren't. They're usually not interested. It's not something that excites them, and it's like whatever. Type of thing. This is pretty easy, and especially with rolling and applying dice to certain things to try to finish stuff, it seems to appeal to women better, in my experience. So this might be better for a couple as well, and you can play this two-player pretty easily. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to leave this one to Thundero because it's his fault.
Not my fault.
It is definitely your fault.
Not my fault.
That is
Nope.
all your fault, sir.
I would like everyone to take a quick look at this lovely specimen of a man, I guess. This is going to be, and is in fact, your new fairy godmother.
Mhm. Mhm.
Apparently, another Cinderella movie is coming out for some unknown reason. Hello, fairy godmother. What
Yeah, I don't know.
is happening?
Well, we had a live action Cinderella that kicked off all the Disney live action stuff. So I mean, because it was successful, and then everything else after that was kind of downhill. Now this fella, I don't know who he is, but I've seen him a little bit the past year or so, kind of popping up here, and he is an absolute 100% mega gay, and proud of it. So you go, girl. But who is this guy, Thunder? I've seen him. He's showed up. He's been showing up on entertainment stuff. Who is
I
this
have
guy?
no idea what his name is, and I don't particularly care to, but I will figure it out just for you, Chester.
Yeah, because he was like
This is
wearing a
Billy
dress.
Porter.
Billy Porter.
Billy Porter, yes.
Yeah, and
Mhm,
what
mhm.
is his claim to fame other than just being a flaming gay guy?
He's what the people who run Hollywood want black men to be.
Mhm.
So this is who you get.
Yeah,
His
now,
talent is marginal at best, but he has the right criteria of
Yeah.
being a ridiculous homosexual. Just
yeah.
preposterous levels of
Okay. Well,
homosexuality.
I
He
don't.
is won 5 awards for this film, Kinky Boots, a musical.
Uh-huh.
A film I've never. Oh no,
Well, it's a
is it on
Broadway
stage now?
show that has
Yeah.
been running for quite a while, and they turned it into a
Which
movie.
we've never heard of.
Yeah.
And then something called Pose, a TV series, something I again have never heard of.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I don't have any problem one way or the other. I mean, he seems to be quite comfortable with himself. But that is not important to me. I mean, it's not like we haven't had gay black guys before, or just gay people in general. However, Thundero's point is well taken, though. They really do seem to want to gayify the black man, which is weird. Black men tend to have this very masculine persona. It's kind of, maybe too much testosterone even. What do you
Yep.
think they want to gay up the blacks for?
Because they need to destroy any chance, any remnant of civilization, so they can control everybody. And the way to preserve civilization is masculinity. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah, but see, the problem
Period.
if you do that, there is no civilization. There's just death.
Well,
in the
yeah,
street.
that's what they
Yeah,
want, you
yeah.
see, because they control everything, and
Uh-huh.
they want everywhere to look like some shithole in Central America,
Maybe
right,
they
where nobody ever can threaten them.
Sure, but maybe they think they want that, but maybe they don't really understand what it is that they want.
No, they know exactly what they want. They want everybody to be some form of mulatto, about 95 IQ on average for the world, and that way they believe that they can control everything, the elite do. They can control the world forever because there'll be nobody to challenge them, nobody with the intelligence or physical attributes such as masculinity to be
Yeah,
a threat to them.
I guess that's some very simplistic way of looking at it. I remember back in the day. You guys are a bit too young for that, but I think it hasn't been so. Yeah, it hasn't been so since I was little. But when I was a kid, in the 70s, and there, like we've said before, there was a ton of black TV shows and black people everywhere, and it was just normal stuff. It wasn't the black person show. It was just Sanford and Son, or the Jeffersons, or Bill Cosby show, or whatever. It really wasn't looked at like that, like they do now. But one thing I do remember very clearly, I didn't really hear people throwing around the N word very much, but when I did, it was placed specifically. And it wasn't talking about black people or black Americans in general or even Africans. It was talking about the criminal element. It was specific to a criminal person, not only of white color, black color, but of any color. Although it did tend toward the ghetto black, but it was very much talking about a person who was lowly educated, criminal, and nasty, useless piece of society. That's what the N word was applied to when I was little. It wasn't talking to black people themselves. It was being used specifically for a certain thing. And I'm kind of wondering where along the line that changed. Because now it's just, you hear, you go to a certain websites or certain videos, and that's all black people say every third word. It's changed. It's not like it used to be. It's not.
The same people, and by people I mean really just institutions, the faceless controllers of these media corporations, pushed a form of degeneracy in the black culture starting right about the 70s, actually. Really, before then, they got the laws changed to eliminate the black father. That happened, and then they started pushing the degeneracy of hip hop culture, the degenerate aspects of it.
Yeah.
There's a reason why most of it now, hip hop, rap, even regular like pop music, is just trash. And not like fundamental music wise trash, that too, but the lyrics and what it's promoting and what it's talking about as if it's a good thing is disgusting, despicable. And you have, what, 40 years now of that? Especially when it comes to hip hop and rap and things, glorifying the worst aspects of their group and continuously doing so to the point where a lot of them, that's all they want. They want to be what they see these rappers and whatnot, what they think that is, which is all not, it's all bullshit, by the way. Nobody actually lives that way. But that's exactly what it is. So these people, these social engineers, push this because you see they have to literally keep black men specifically from attaining fatherhood and families and getting past their baser instincts of being violent
Mm.
and being men. They're not allowed to be men.
Well, all
That's
of
a
our
real thing.
well, yeah, but it's all of our baser instincts. That's what civilization is about, is being more
Yeah.
than the animal we are. It's interesting. Dave over here mentions Good Times, what's happening with Jimmy Walker. Now, I love that show, and of course, I'm sure many of those of you of our generation did love that show. It was funny. It was a good, heartwarming family story. The dad on that was freaking awesome. I love that guy. But mentioning Jimmy Walker, or inadvertently mentioning Jimmy Walker, made me think. There was way back in I think it was the 70s. I know I saw it on TV, but there was a movie that didn't do well, and they dropped it on TV pretty quickly. It was called The Wiz, and it was taken from a Broadway show. It was an all-black cast doing The Wizard of Oz, and it was their like a modern retake, and they kind of turned it into a movie. I think Barry Gordy over at Motown had bought it, and they tried to put it together. Now the main person in that was Diana Summers, and she was kind of awful in it. It was a horrible movie, but one of the most annoying parts of that movie was Michael Jackson. He was very young, Michael, and he was annoying as shit. And I really didn't like that movie. But you know what? It had nothing to do with Thundero. The fact that they
Hmm.
were all black. I don't recall anyone even making a comment about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody cared.
But it really sucked. But the reason I mentioned they came to my head was because Good Times mentioning Jimmy Walker. Initially, he was supposed to be the Scarecrow, but the people behind the scenes were really pushing because they wanted Michael in there. And I can imagine because in that movie, you had Quincy Jones as the Tin Man, and he was okay. The dude who played the Cowardly Lion was awesome. And there was some interesting set piece, but Diana was just horrible. It was a horrible choice. She was way too old, and it wasn't cool. But Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow sucked balls. But I could just imagine Jimmy Walker playing the Scarecrow. That might have been cool as shit, dude. That might have been really cool. I miss Jimmy, man. He was fun, and his career just ended. The last time I saw him, it was in the what's that strange power armor series? Guyver. There it is. Yeah. Last time I saw him was in Guyver, and he played some alien. Oh well. I thought the Wiz was a cross comics character. Probably is, dude. Probably is. There you go. Thank you, Magatine Joshua. No, nobody. No one remembers the Wiz, huh?
Nope.
Jesus. All right, fine. Can I take this man off my screen now, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, I want to look at him.
He's so perfectly defiant, isn't he? You got to give him credit for that, though, dude. He is perfectly defiant. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. Go ahead, Booster.
What do we have then? What do we have here? New survey shows Japanese audiences want Hollywood to stay away from anime. Oh yes, I know about this.
Now,
Quite overwhelmingly, in fact.
yeah, no, living here, I understand the sentiment quite well. What is these guys are going on about me being wrong again? Well, what's new? But they had a little poll. It's not a very big one, but and I can show the numbers on it down here. Um, where is it? Here we go. But they did a poll in Japan asking what anime would you like to see turned into a Hollywood feature, and there's a whole bunch of pretty well known things getting a few votes here or there, here or
Less
there.
than 10.
Yeah, but and then they got the top four has got a little bit more votes, but the first place is kind of interesting. Booster, why don't you go ahead and read that out for the folks?
First place would be None, with over 456 votes,
Mhm.
which is nearly 10 times the amount of second place.
Yeah, no, it's quite clear. Now, this is a combination of things. One, people just don't want the Western sentiment to be involved in their anime because Japanese are kind of don't talk about it, but they're aware of this whole. I think the Japanese refer to it as the Me Too syndrome, is the way they because they don't know every detail what's going on in the West, but they the Me Too thing did get shouted a little bit by a few Japanese actresses here, and the Japanese collectively rolled their eyes. But there's another element to this, and I hate to burst the bubble of this article because I've seen many people showing it off and like, look, ha ha ha. Unfortunately, it's not just what you think it is. It's also the fact that in Japan, Japanese people hate live action remakes of their anime because they're always done so poorly.
No, just in general, like,
In
even if the
general.
Japanese did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Probably more. They probably would be more open-minded to Hollywood doing it over the Japanese. But in general, there's been so many come out, and they're so bad that the anime fandom in Japan is like, no, no, no more. That's enough.
Lee.
Yeah. So this isn't just a thing to this, the stupid West, as this article is trying to suggest. It actually has more to do with the making an anime live action itself. And there is a large community in Japan that is very against it. But they do have some examples here. The original Old Boy, it's a Korean movie, of course, was freaking epic. I mean, damn.
One of my absolute favorite movies ever made.
It's a really good movie, but come prepared. Come prepared. Because that movie is harsh. The remake with our boy here, Thanos,
Yeah.
is bad. My God, dude,
Sucked.
it was
It
really, really bad.
Which is such a shame because Josh Brolin was such a good casting choice for this part.
Oh yeah, sure, but it was bad, dude. It was.
Yeah, it was just it was horrific.
Don't watch it.
It was just poorly acted. It was very hokey. But you get to see Elizabeth Olsen's tits.
Okay. Another an Olsen teen selling their sex. Yeah, perfect. Now, of course, Ghost in the Shell, not a great movie. Failed on many, many, many levels. Unfortunately, the director really didn't understand the material. It's quite clear, and they didn't use. I don't have no problem with Scarlett doing it, but they didn't use her properly at all. No one bothered to tell her that, yeah, you're not a robot. You're a human in a robot body. You're a human mind. It's the ghost in the shell. Ghost in the shell, Scarlett. No one bothered to tell her. Also,
and you don't get to see Scarlett's tits.
You get to see her shape, but unfortunately, they put her in the most god awful suit ever that made her look like a fat lump. And I don't know how in the hell she walked on the screen one day, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's great. Let's go. Get ready. Positions." I don't know how that happened, because if she walked out in that, I'd be like, "All right, take it back. Remake it," because she looked horrible. She must have been pissed because she looked like a fat lump, and she's a normal lady. She's got a normal body.
That's very fat phobic of you to go on about normal bodies, Chester.
I'm just telling you.
Just this high standard of beauty you consider normal? Wow, Chester.
Well, I guarantee she was pissed. I know women.
Yeah.
Death Note, my God, someone murder it. Murder it. It was so bad.
Face.
He was screaming for some reason, and they butchered that character.
It was horrible. Yeah, it was horrible. Which is too bad because it's an interesting concept.
For the voice.
Oh yeah. Who was it?
Willem Dafoe is the Death God.
That's not bad. I thought the voice
good choice for voice, but this character they absolutely butchered him.
It was dumb. It was horrible.
Well, in fairness, the mangaka butchered his own character before that too. So the last half of that last half of that is absolutely fucking terrible. Death Note.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It should have ended when he killed what's his name, L.
Spoilers.
Yeah, but it's
spoilers for this 15-year-old piece of art.
Sure. But the point is, it's not good. You also have other examples which you probably haven't seen in the West. The live action of Full Metal Alchemist. It's insulting. The live action of Yamato, ridiculously bad. And of course, the Piece de Resistance, one of the worst movies ever freaking made. And I'm not even a Dragon Ball fan. Dragon Ball Evolution.
I've watched this
My
movie twice. It
God,
sucks so much, and I love it.
do you? Yeah, okay, well, I get that. That's like people watching The Room.
It
Uh,
really sucks, dude.
it's so bad. And you get Xiao Yan Fat in it as well, and they completely waste him. Um,
Mhm.
and there are many others as well, because here in Japan, they like to make cheap, almost like knockoff live actions of anime all the time, and the Japanese are just sick of this shit. So I get the point of the article. I get all of the Western reporters, that are part of our general community that are going on. Look, ha ha ha. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. It's more about just the live action itself, and
You know what
less
who I
about
think could
Hollywood.
make an actual good live action DBZ movie? The guy who made or who makes the Godzilla movies. Just because all we're here to see, you make a live action DBZ movie. We don't need story, really. We're here to see guys yelling and fighting and shooting shit at each other.
Yeah.
Right? People don't watch DBZ for the deep lore and the great character work and any of that. No, it's for the fights.
Yeah.
So everybody's there to see, and they get right to them. They don't usually f around too much. Yeah, that's all we need. So if you give it to somebody who, at least leans into that as much as he possibly can when he's making a movie, and who has said now that if they do make more Godzilla movies or Kong movies, they're going to be pretty much only focusing on Godzilla or Kong. Yeah, I think they could make a very interesting live action DBZ. Probably at least get us the nice big set piece awesome battles that is desperately needed if you're going to even get near any kind of DBZ, anything, movie, game, whatever you're making.
Well, it shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, honestly.
No.
Another team that might be good for making Dragon Ball would be like whoever the CG team for Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. Because those fights in the end were great, and if you made a Dragon Ball movie that was had those kind of fights, and then someone who could actually write and direct the comedic points of Dragon Ball, I think you got a movie, right?
But I really don't even think it's necessary. I think it's a waste of money. Just make a really big budget animated one. Like, I don't understand why Hollywood wants some of this anime money, right? Okay, so just hire the studio who made the anime and make a huge fucking budget movie with it.
Yeah,
throw a bunch of money at them, let them work on it for a couple years, and put out some awesome next level animation.
Yeah,
why not?
I agree, and it's similar with video games adaptations. They don't do well as either. However, there was one anime, / manga adaptation that I enjoy quite a bit. Alita, Battle Angel.
Yeah, that one was okay.
I had fun with that.
Her eyes still throw me off.
Yeah, it's creepy, but you get used to it.
Yeah.
But
surprisingly, I'm not saying it was a good at all, but the Bleach one that Netflix did a couple years ago was decent.
It
was
watch that.
decent.
I didn't watch
but
that.
It wasn't good. It was but it was decent. It was a lot better than the other ones.
Did it have jiggling boobs in it? You thought too long. Get out. Yeah,
I don't remember. I don't remember the boob situation. I just remember the big fuck off sword, and it looked as good as it's going to look in a live action setting.
Fair enough. But we'll see going forward, because they desperately want to do this kind of stuff. I just don't think they have the right mindset. I think it's about mindset, and I don't think they have it, because they're always worried about story. Well, it depends on the actual anime, doesn't it? Some anime, like Dragon Ball, don't give a shit about story at all. Has nothing to do with story. It has to do with big ass fighting scenes. Others are highly story motivated, right? So I don't know, but
I think if you were going to do this, if you really, for some reason, have to make it live action, why not do my idea of let the acting parts be live action, and then when you get into the action shit, turn it into basically what we do anyway. Turn it into CG, turn it into animation.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, especially since 1999, most action scenes of any importance or significance in most big movies are CG to hell. You're basically watching an animated movie, whether you know it or not.
Right.
So I don't see why they wouldn't just do that. If they really are going to do it, I still think the best idea is to hire one of these studios that have made these animes that are really good. Some of them are really good, really, really, really good. Hire one of them to oversee it. Get a whole team of animators on there. Hell, get Pixar involved. I don't care. Get whoever you want. Get some really high caliber animators in there and make a really awesome adaptation of it.
Yeah.
Instead of making a live action one that literally no one is asking for.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, that's true. Hellrod talks about Michael Bay maybe doing a Dragon Ball movie. That's the initial knee-jerk reaction is like, "Fuck no, Hellrod." But he might.
But wait a minute.
He might be able to do a good
Yeah,
job.
it might actually be pretty cool.
That's a good choice. Yeah. But on a side note, Hellrod, are you all right, dude? How are things over there for you? Hellrod, of course, lives in Israel. We know about the absolute nonsense. Of course, we got a weak administration in America, and that means that the jackasses will play. Of course, we know that Palestine, the Hamas particularly, pushed on by Mahmoud Abbas over in the West Bank when his nonsense, because he basically was about to lose an election, so he decided to throw shade at the Jews again, and the Hamas just had to show their ass, I guess, that they've been lobbing 2,000 plus missiles into Israel, and Israel is trying to silence the shit the best they can. I mean, we have so many people around the world that are just constantly any opportunity to hate on the Israelis, but name an army that has to go to such kit gloves when dealing with an enemy that's trying to murder them. 2,000 rockets into your little teeny space is not nothing, dude. It's not nothing. The Israeli military has to be so particular and so surgical with their strikes to try to reduce the civilian population deaths as much as possible. I mean, good on them for doing that. But I mean, what an absolute restriction they have to defend themselves. It's always disgusting. What's new? There's nothing new. This has been going on for literally ever. It's irritating, of course, especially that we just had a president that basically said, "Mess around and find out," and no one twitched, nobody,
No.
because
No.
they know he would throw a hammer down on them. But now, look what we have. Look at the chaos we've had in the first 100 days of this frickin' idiot. But beyond all of that, Holrod, I hope you're doing well. I hope you and your family are safe. And hopefully that will come to an end quickly because, yeah, dude. That sucks, man.
It's been going on for thousands of years. I don't think it's coming to an end anytime soon. But it was nice to have a president who was willing to just stand up and say, nah, you're not doing that. You do that, and I'm going to rain hellfire down on you. Just said it to him. Just told him like it was. None of this diplomatic niceness speech. Nothing. Calling one of the most dangerous people allegedly in Asia, Rocket Man. just poking the bears all over the place. Didn't care. Didn't give a shit. And it worked.
No one twitched. Nobody.
And
did.
It worked.
It did work. Yeah.
Kim Jong-un, whatever his name is, still respects Donald Trump and has no respect for the rest of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
To this day.
Yeah.
To the point that he said, which, my opinions on what Trump should have done after the election aside, he said if Trump needed help, he'd do what he could. Talk about military aid if necessary.
Well, they made a rapport with him, right?
Yes.
But Hellrod, it sounds like he's back in the States, maybe okay, that's good. But it's still, I'm glad your family's safe, dude. It's horrible. I do have friends and colleagues in Israel. I've been working with Tel Aviv University for 2 decades in the translation work that I do. I do have friends over there, and it's I know it's nothing new. I get it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, he used to, Eric. Yeah, I guess he's over in Virginia now. I don't know if maybe he'll clarify that. But
But
you know,
no, it's very fascinating to watch um, what the world is quickly descending into without a strong American president.
yeah,
It didn't take much, and it's also interesting that these actual idiots in our media and on Twitter and wherever didn't understand the whole point of why Trump was doing what he was doing with his incendiary tweets. The whole point was to try and scare them into thinking he's crazy enough to do it.
and he did.
He's crazy enough to do it, and it worked. Because listen, we know the old saying, "The devil you know," right?
Right.
Nobody knew Trump. Not that way, not with actual power behind him. So he wanted them, it was obvious to me, he wanted them to keep thinking that. Keep thinking he was capable of launching nukes at him. Because he told them he would.
I'll do it. I got my finger on the button right now. I'll do
As
it.
long as they thought that, they were willing to talk to him, or at least not escalate. Too much.
Shit,
Too much.
dude,
Iran
okay.
did do a little pushing here or there, but nothing
Way,
too
we'll
major.
talk. We'll talk. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no,
And-
Eric. Yeah, he did. He used to do DNQFE as well. But he is Israeli, Eric. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And
Dox the man.
it's very it's very I think a lot of people miss him because
Oh.
America desperately needed and still does and probably forever will if it's going to continue to exist because our position's so weakened thanks to our economic situation. It needs a strong leader who can rattle cages. There's nothing wrong with rattling cages as long as you got the biggest stick.
Yeah.
And
no,
as of
that's fine.
now, we have the biggest stick. So I think the
we
world's
have
a
the
lot
biggest
safer.
dick anyway. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Think about it. Donald John Trump ended the Korean War. I think
did.
people don't
Yeah, it's funny.
appreciate that enough.
Yeah, it's
Now,
true.
I'm not talking about lefties. I'm talking about people on the right. That alone was enough to make him the greatest president of the last 70 years. That alone was it. That's all he needed to do. He could just be like, all right, I'm good. I'm going home.
Yeah.
And he'd still win that mantle. He ended America's longest war. Ended it. By himself, by the way, because everybody else was telling him he was a psychopath and a crazy and he's going to start a nuclear war and Japan's going to get nuked and all this nonsense and they were saying.
Not a
And none
single
of it- I
war
wouldn't even-
during his time, by the way.
No, we should have
but,
nuked Japan again. We'd get anime too.
We would. Yeah, that's true.
No,
Hellrod,
we should nuke Japan. We
Hellrod,
should give Japan a bunch of nukes. That's what we should do.
they already have them, dude. Don't you think they don't? Hellrod,
Well,
I thought when I talked to you and
officially.
your wife, you guys were in Israel. Did I misunderstand something?
Probably haven't talked to him in like 2 years.
Probably been a while. Yeah, it's probably been a while. Yeah. But anyway, I'm happy that your family is safe. Although you don't seem to have gas now, which is unfortunate. But I do have other
Glad we're
friends.
talking about the Israel situation while we have the Dragon Ball Evolution thing
It's
banner
perfect.
going
It's
on.
perfect.
It's
I'm
it's
sorry.
very
Well, I'll move
yes.
on. How about this? Is this
Constant
happier news
battle.
for you?
All right. What do we have? Oh, good. My favorite, Seth Rogen. Woke Hollywood elitist Seth Rogen calls Texas Senator Ted Cruz a fascist and attempts to define their ongoing social media feud.
Mm.
He's been doing this for,
A long
I
time.
think, well over a year, almost every
Yeah.
freaking day now. It's kind of weird how fixated he is on Ted Cruz specifically.
Well, you know,
And he also crawled up in our boy Count Dankula's DMs to harass him.
well, he is a
Seth Rogen's
dickhead.
a maniac.
He is a dickhead, and he's not alone. This lady's showing her face again, and this is, of course, Roseanne Arquette, and she's comparing the Republicans to Nazis as well. And they're not alone. There's others. But
New
this one,
material.
yeah.
I was talking about them.
JD the man. Okay, all right, Hellrod, you play that game. Anyway, in this situation, as Booster just told you, Seth Rogen has been kind of banging at Ted Cruz for about a year, which I don't understand. I mean, you don't get much more milk toast than Ted Cruz. But however,
Not Ted.
well, yeah, you know, but I don't mind Ted. so much. I don't know. He's no Governor Huckabee, but I don't mind Ted. This is more for me about Seth Rogen than it is Ted Cruz anyway. But of course, he goes on about you're Nazis, you're fascist, F you fascist, barking and yelling and doesn't even know what he's talking about. But a lot of people decided to jump on his tweets and give him a little of their opinion. So a little bit of a blast here from Dean Cain. You get him, Dean. You get him.
Yep.
And you also have the Hodge twins laying into him. You got whoever Roland Zahe is laying into him. And a whole bunch of people laying into Seth Rogen. So it couldn't happen to a better person. But he's they're so delusional, dude. And they really enjoy this Nazi word, and I need to come to understanding of why. Clearly, they don't understand what the Nazis were. They clearly don't. They clearly don't. Especially
They
when,
will only say they're nationalists. They won't tell you the other half of it.
well, I'm not talking about the National Socialistic People's Party. I'm not talking about that in general. I'm talking about the Nazi, the Gestapo, right?
Stop.
And the shit they did was straight up evil. Now, to be fair, in war, if you look at any country, they're going to have that black beret like America has, right? I know most people never heard the term black beret. Green beret is what you've heard, Rambo and all this stuff. But we also have a group called the black beret. And what do the black beret do? Well, we drop them behind enemy lines. They're a black ops group, and they go from point A to point B, and they kill everything in their way, including women, children, dogs, cats, whatever, because they're there to cause terror. That's their job, a terror unit. And every government in the world has it. Everyone has it because it is a viable tactic of war, I guess. And the Gestapo is nothing different than any other black terror group in any other militaristic group. However, they did rather take the cake, I think, in the level of terror they went to. I can't outside of medieval times, I cannot attest to a group more absolutely diabolical. And for you to compare anything at all that is open in the public eye to the Gestapo makes you look like an absolute child. I mean, come on, grow the hell up. Grow the hell up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's kind of a prick.
Yeah, but it's not just him. They keep throwing this term out, and they really don't understand what it is. I don't.
Nazi racist KKK.
But what I'm trying to come to an understanding is, how did they start doing it? Why did they start using this term that clearly doesn't apply? Thunder, do you have any clue on this?
The same way that they started using racist to apply to anything. Because all it is, Nazi, the term, has nothing to do, in fact, with National Socialist Workers' Party of Germany. They didn't call themselves that. It wasn't something they engaged in. Nazism is a ridiculous amalgamation of a word. It's not what they believed.
No,
Hitler was a
they talk
fascist.
about the Gestapo is what they're trying to say. They just don't know
Yes.
any better. Yeah.
But the reason they do it is because racism works. And because everybody, promotes the communist term racism. It's not real. Doesn't exist. Sorry to tell you. It's not. Sorry. It's not a thing. All they did is made up a word and then used it to slapped it out as a label against their political opponents and made it mean whatever they needed it to mean because it's effective.
Well,
And then
we all
started
clearly
going,
get
wait
it.
a minute, no, I'm not. Wait a minute.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we also
let me tell
clearly
you
get
why
it,
I'm
though,
not.
what their meaning.
It instantly puts you on the defense. That's the point of it.
Yeah.
That's why they do it. If people would just be like, okay, then I'm a Nazi, guess what? They lose. If enough people did that, be like, listen, I'll do whatever it takes to not be you. Anything. Anything at all. I'll be any label you want to give me as long as I'm not you.
Well,
because you're trash. You're scum. You're the lowest of the low. You have your ideology and what you're promoting only leads to genocide and misery.
Yeah,
and it
sure.
always has, and it always will. So I don't give a shit about your judgments of me or my character. Because you are so beneath me, it's ridiculous. It's not even worth commenting on. It's like a pissant and a golden god. That's how low in comparison you are to me
I like
because
the
of your
golden
ideology.
Yeah.
That's
Well-
how we should respond to these communists. That's what they are.
Well, they are.
They might not
communists,
know it,
and
but that's what they are.
I do think there's some irony in that as well, because if we trace the trail of how this all came about, how Marxism was applied, we already mentioned Karl Marx earlier, how he was a self-loathing Jew, but
Yeah.
do understand that the Germans had a really good plan in World War I. They sent in a guy, his name was Lenin. He was a Jewish guy. They sent him in with a train full of gold to cause distress and trouble in Russia, to help them. It was like a spy plot, right? And it worked really well. And of course, the Bolshevik Revolution, it came out of that. There were Jewish, infiltrators all over Europe trying to push this socialism that had already been around for a while, especially in unionization stuff coming out of the Industrial Revolution. But there were a lot of Jewish, actual infiltrators doing these kind of things. And it wasn't just in Europe. I mean, we know the Spanish War that popped off before World War II, and the Germans went in and tried to help them defeat that damn communism, and no one else helped, by the way. But the people seem to forget these infiltrators were sent to America as well. And where
Yes.
did they go? Where did these Jewish communists go? Where did they try to sow their ideals, their ideology? Well, of course, they went to Hollywood, they went to liberal circles, and they went into black communities, right?
Yep.
And the result of this whole racism thing and this big push we've got, people like to talk about Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and the stuff he did, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But really, what you need to look at is Louis Farrakhan. That dude has been pushing that ideology for a long time. I don't know if he's dead or not. I haven't heard that he died.
No, he's
But
still alive.
that dude has been pushing the whole black ideal, but what he really is a communist,
Of
right?
course.
And he's been pushing that stuff the whole time, and a lot of that race stuff, and that that the word race only applies to power and all this stuff, where a black person can't be racist. That's not a modern idea. That's come out of Louis Farrakhan from the frickin' 70s, dude. Right? So there's a long line of how this came to be, and I find it's very ironic with Mr. Rogan here, who's of course another in a long list of Jewish Hollywood. That these days, when you look at the communist movements, like you do have with the SJWs, who are a communist movement, the Antifa, Black Lives Matter, openly Marxist movements, who do they hate most now? Christians and Jews.
Yeah,
What
actual
a
Jews.
what a circle, dude. What a
Yep.
circle. The Jews are the ones that started this shit, and now it's back on them. Now
Well,
I should
well,
use the
we
word
can get-
Zionist to be fair. To be fair,
There you
I
go.
should use the word
There you go. That's more accurate. Yes.
But
We
it's
can get real
ironic, right?
metaphysical with it, and say that whether it's real or not. We were warned by Jesus Christ Himself, in fact, that these were false Jews. These are the children of Satan, the
they're
synagogue of
secular.
Satan,
Yeah, they're not
as
practicing Jews
as
at all.
Revelation calls it.
Yeah.
The synagogue of Satan. Yeah, and that just is what it is. That's what we're dealing with here. You're dealing with people who are ethnically Jewish, allegedly, who have a lot of invested interest in communism, who've spread it all over the world and always have. And it's not not just the Jews, but there's a lot of them in there, and it is strange. It is very interesting to see how many of them are anti-Israel.
Yeah.
Which is really weird to me. I'm not anti-Israel. I'm pro-Israel. I think Israel's been there 70 plus years. They mostly defend themselves. Okay. I mean, okay. Yeah, they're a colonial nation. I mean, let's be honest, that's what they are, but so are we.
Yeah. I have no problem with that. But I just find it ironic that this really did start out with those kind of hardcore Zionists trying to, gain control or whatever their ultimate goals were. And now it's come to the point that, literally we all saw on the news thousands of frickin' missiles flying into Israel, unprovoked, by the way. And that yet we have people in the street saying, "How dare Israel defend themselves? How dare they?"
Hmm.
Right? And it's just all of this anti-Christian, anti-Jew rhetoric coming out of these leftist socialists.
Well, that's that right. I think you just hit the nail on the head right there. I don't even think it's really about the Judaism or the Jewish folks. I think they're just getting the ones who are more nationalistic, more traditional, are just getting the flack from the hatred of Christianity.
Mm.
I think it's because the Christians and the Jews have become such strong allies, like the real Jews, actual devout Jewish people, and devout Christians especially are really really tight all over the country, especially in America, and I think that's why they're getting a lot of the flack, because you have to understand the one thing the communists always universally hate is Christianity.
Yeah,
No matter what skin color they are, no matter where they're doing it at, they go after the Christians pretty much always first. But they go after them the hardest first. See, once they consolidate power and they take out all the useful idiots that helped them get there, then they go for the Christians. They're bop, 1-2, every time. And the greatest mass genocide that we know of anyway, at least in the last 100 years, was not the Holocaust. It was to Christian Ukrainians by the Soviets.
Well, that's true. The Christians are always getting melted. Hellrod, you're absolutely correct. Of course, you're right. But it's just it's just interesting how it's all twisted in on itself. But then again, we always say the left eats itself, and it does in strange ways. But I don't know. Me personally, when it comes to the Middle East, because I don't know how this all tricked into that, but I mean that's all right. I personally think we should just let them go toe to toe. Let them go. Right? Just let them go and end this shit one way or the other, because it's been going on too long, dude. It's been going on too long. And what's going to happen? I told my wife as soon as we saw those missiles going, I said, okay, well, what's going to happen next is Lebanon's going to throw some missiles at them. And then either Egypt or Jordan is going to come in and sue for peace. And there's going to be a bunch of people in the street marching and screaming about hate toward Israel. And then they'll make some peace accord, and it'll be okay for a few years until it happens again. Because it just keeps happening over and over and over again. So me personally, I'd rather see it just, get it done. Just get it done.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't know. Anyway, let's move away from that. But fuck you, Joe Rogan. Or not Joe. I like Joe Rogan. Seth Rogen.
Fuck you, Joe Rogan, as well.
Fuck you, Seth Rogen.
Somewhere his finest thinking is like, what did I do?
Yeah. What did I do? He did the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. There's another disappointment right there. There's another disappointment. He bothers me more than others, because look what you got in Late Night. It's all crap. None of them are funny. Neither is Stephen. He's not funny at all. And the thing is when he used to be his fake pundit on the Stephen Colbert, he was hilarious. We all know he's a liberal, but he was funny. What happened, dude? What the hell happened to Stephen Colbert?
I can tell you exactly what happened. It was called Donald John Trump, and these people are such literalists that they take everything with unbelievable amounts of literalness if it's coming from their opposition ideologically. They've lost all sense of nuance, all sense of irony, all sense of sarcasm. Those words are just nonsense words to them. Yeah. It's like you're talking in baby talk, because they don't get it. So when you look at Donald John Trump and he says really bombastic, ridiculous things,
grab him by the pussy.
Yeah, and you take that literally. Yeah, you take that literally. It drives you into a crazy town, because look at them. They all went into crazy town. Where if you just take his threats and some of the stuff he says about actual things he wants to do seriously instead of literally, and ignore all the bombast, you don't look at Donald John Trump and lose your mind. like liberals do,
No, it's dumb.
or at least like a lot of these guys did.
Grimlock Colbert was funny, dude. Yes, he was. But I take I take a little umbrage with his terminology there with grabbing the pussy. I disagree completely, Don. I think we poke them in the pussy, sir. Poke them. Whatever.
Yeah, I'd much rather grab some booty or some titty. Like, if you're just gonna walk up and grab something, I'm just saying, they get the fun bits, right?
I
Like,
agree.
get the
I would agree. Yeah. Anyway,
me
let's move
too.
on away from that because
Right.
that just goes down an even ever darkening hole. This one's a fun hole though. Go ahead, Booster.
Fun holes. Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins reveals first look at Baroness Scarlet Akiko and maskless Snake Eyes.
Mm.
Jesus
Now,
Christ.
Chuck Dixon
Nobody wants
actually-
maskless snake eyes. Nobody
Yeah,
wants
no, it's-
maskless snake eyes.
Well, because they want to show that he's Asian. They want you to make sure
Nobody
you
wants
understand that he's
maskless
Asian.
snake eyes.
But
Well,
he's
just
Asian.
then do a flashback where he's a kid and make him an Asian kid.
Yeah.
Done. Nobody
But-
wants maskless face or maskless face mask. Nobody wants that either. Nobody
Yeah.
wants maskless
Well,
snake eyes.
Chuck Dixon actually kind of gave an opinion on this in this article, and I think they were taken from another interview. But he said one of the great things about Snake Eyes is the fact that you know so little about him. The mystery
Mm.
is one of the powers of it, and that's absolutely true. But also it shows you the idiocy of these wrong-headed people. The reason Snake Eyes was a white guy, was because it's the fish out of water story. It's the same with Iron Fist. Matter of fact, they're kind of ripping on each other. He doesn't belong, and he had to struggle to be, right? So you taking it, just turning it into I guess a Japanese guy, this Henry Golding guy, but he's going to be playing a Japanese kid. You're missing the point. It's no longer Snake Eyes. Now it's just some ninja, right? You miss it. They've completely missed the point. Now this guy
Mhm.
might be great for the role. It might be fun. I don't know. We'll have to see. However, you really don't get it, dude. You really don't get it, and they just are so traumatized by the fact that that a ninja is not Asian that they've completely lost the plot. And like I said, he might be great for it, but that's not even the point. It has nothing to do with it, dude. And it is what it is. Now, for the other characters, and this goes in where they're talking to Chuck Dixon here in this part of the article, and he's making there's an interview here you can watch from him, which is pretty cool. Dick's out for Chuck, of course. But
It's out for Dixon.
Dick's out for Dixon, yes. And but he makes a very, very valid points here, saying that the mystery of Snake Eyes is what made him interesting. And they've taken that all away. We know we're going to know his name, we're going to see his face, we're going to know his history. They're going to give us everything. There's no more mystery to Snake Eyes. It's done. Okay. So besides that, we're also getting a little bit of the Scarlet here, and at least she's a fake redhead. That's good. I half
Mm.
expected it to be.
I have to say, there's a certain degree of arrogance that comes with taking someone else's character and deciding you know what their origin should be.
Oh, there's a lot of arrogance to it, dude.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's all
Boba
I'd
Fett,
say.
Hellrod. Yeah, no, that's true. Although I did like the dude who played him. I thought it was fun. But I get your point. Yeah, that is. But at least she's still a fake redhead, so that's good. This girl, I don't know, Latino or something like that, playing the Baroness. I think it looks good though. I think it looks
Kind
good.
of looks like Bayonetta, and
Yeah, a
that's
little
activating my almonds.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't mind this casting. I think it's fine, and I don't even mind the dude here playing Snake Eyes. I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm sure he's happy to have the opportunity, and he'll give it all he's got. That's not the point. The point is that Snake Eyes is a white guy intentionally because it's a struggle for him. It's a challenge for him to be part of a world that's not his own, right? That's the point. But whatever, they solved it. They solved it with this American half Asian. He's not even clearly. He's kind of looks like my kid, to be honest with you. He's not an Asian. He's clearly an American mulatto of some kind. But solved. It's solved, Booster. They fixed it.
They fixed racism.
They did.
We've done it.
Yeah. Yeah. But just there was another article I saw, Thundero, that was this lady who was supposed to be playing one of the characters in Guilty Gear, which the Western audience seems to think is a black girl. And she said, "Well, I'm not black, so I shouldn't play it." So they went and hired another lady who's also not black to play the character. But it's just this insane thinking. That is a voice acting job. You're not being hired for your look at all. You're being hired for your sound.
Yeah.
Very strange that we decided that a slightly tan character in anime is now a black person.
Yeah, she's not black at all. I have no idea what they're talking about. That character is not a black
Very
character.
strange.
When
If a character is black in an anime, you'll know.
You will know
'Cause they're not
clearly.
subtle.
Well, they go all Nubian on it, right? It's like over
The
exaggerated
lips and
African.
everything.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
The lips and everything. That's just what the Japanese do, because that's their image, the stereotypical image of what an Africa black person is. They don't really know black people. They don't understand it. It's not part of their culture. So all they have is visual cues. But that character in Guilty Gear is not a black girl. She's just tan. That's it. Yeah. But whatever, you lose your mind over whatever you like and take away money out of your pocket. I do find it ironic, though, Booster. I can't remember his name, but there's a black dude who does voice acting. He's been doing it for decades, and he's freaking awesome. And he's done every character under the sun, man, all kinds of colors, and he's awesome. I don't hear anyone complaining about him doing non-black roles. Do you?
Do you mean Phil Lamar?
I can't
guy who
recall
did
his
Samurai
name,
Jack?
but he's yeah.
That's what I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's awesome, dude.
He's a legend.
Yeah. And no one cares because he's awesome. He's doing his job awesomely. But I'm just saying it with this logic, should he now not be allowed to do anything that's non-black? Is that really what we
Oh
want?
no, rules only apply to white people.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dumb logic. But
Yeah.
whatever. Whatever. Hellrod says, no, Chester. Snake Eyes' struggles was having his face burned off and having no voice. That's true. And maybe they'll do that here, Hellrod. He is horribly scarred, and having no voice, becoming a ninja was how he healed and found purpose. He was a white guy, though, Hellrod. And he was horribly disfigured and all that kind of stuff. True. And maybe in this movie, we're going to see how that happened. Because he's part of he gets trained to be and comes in to be part of the Arashikage or Storm Shadow ninja clan. But whatever. I have no problem with this guy here. I hope wish him luck. Hope he does a good job. It's just dumb. It's just dumb.
Mm-hmm.
It's not his fault though. I don't blame him whatsoever. And I hope he does well. Avery Brooks was Shredder. James Earl Jones was Darth Vader. Yeah, no. I mean, there are plenty of people doing voices for things that are not them. How many times have we seen young boy characters in anime or cartoons that are voiced by women, right? For instance.
It's freaking James Earl Jones though, so let him voice what he likes. His voice is freaking
epic
cool.
as hell. That's right. Yeah. But I mean, of course, for our point of view, whatever. It's awesome, dude. We don't care. That's the point. We don't care. They care. They so desperately care. And I'm kind of wondering when this is going to come back and burn them hard, because eventually it's going to burn them really, really hard, right?
The voice acting thing has been one of the weirdest recent controversies because they turned the one thing that doesn't matter by race or how you look into something that matters.
Yeah.
It's simply because there is a large group of people of all races, denominations, creeds that really, really, really hate white people.
That's
genuinely do so.
Mm.
So
And they're usually
they
white
have
people.
to find every angle of attack they can to
Yeah.
come at them and try to deperson them
Yeah.
as a group.
Yep. No,
That's all
I
it is.
agree. Now I don't know this guy Henry Golding at all, but he looks like an action hero though, dude.
Looks cool.
I'm getting good vibes off of him though. I mean, like I said, this isn't his fault. It has nothing to do with him. But
What else has he been in? Let's check real quick, huh?
yeah, but I mean, I don't know what it is, but he looks, he's kind of he feels just standing there statically. He feels like Tony Jaa. And Tony Jaa is freaking awesome. You guys know who that is, right? That's I think he's Thai.
Yeah.
I think he's Thai. But talk about trying to keep up with Jackie Chan. I mean, you go, dude.
He was in Crazy Rich Asians, and he was in Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman. Those are the only movies I even know.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
just
So
like
he's not an
coming out
action
of 'em,
hero.
we'll see.
He looks like one though.
Hmm.
I never watched that
We'll see.
Crazy
We'll see
Rich
how he
Asians.
does.
What was that about? I keep hearing that mentioned. What was that?
It's about Crazy Rich Asians. I don't know what else to say. I didn't see it. I just know of it.
All right, all right. Whatever. Good luck.
You know what? I'd rather than a Snake Eyes movie. I'd just rather a good GI Joe movie. Just one.
That'll be novel.
Yeah, that'd be
It would be
what a crazy idea, right?
People put a lot of hate on those two G.I. Joe movies that came out. And I understand they weren't great, but
G.I. Joe.
they were kind of fun,
You
dude.
did say G.I. Joe.
Did I say G.I. Joe?
You said G.I. Joe.
Was that a Freudian moment?
G.I. Joe.
I have to make a comic book now. That sounds
Only
perfect.
in Israel are there GI Jews, Chester. Come on now.
Yeah, they're badass though. Don't
have him be a member of the IDF. That would be hilarious.
That would be funny, dude. But they're actually very good at what they do. I also felt going back to that real quick. I felt bad for Gal Gadot because, I mean, she just put out a simple tweet and she worried about her family and friends. You know, she is from there. She was in the IDF, of course, as they all are. She said, hopefully we can find a way where Israel can live in peace with their neighbors. And she's just catching all kind of shit for that. It's like, what? She's asking and praying for peace and worried about her family and friends and her country. And you're going to give her shit about it? Really?
I feel like if, say, hypothetically, I was to say, oh man, it sucks that England's being bombed. I hope my family over there are okay. And people came like,
Why you feel sorry for the colonizers?
Yeah, it's about the same. But it's kind of nonsense. But I don't know. We can see very clearly with the Seth Rogans of the world compared to the Scarlett Johanssons and the Gal Gadots that they're just trying to figure a way through and figure out how to survive it. You know.
The only thing Gal Gadot deserves flack for is not enough nudes and doing that Imagine fucking song with all those celebrities.
I get she thought she was helping, but anyway, go ahead. Here we go, Booster. We have a comic book creator opinion today.
I'm in front of the oven. You're gonna have to get. You're gonna get
Thundaro,
Thundaro to read it.
Thundaro.
Chester, you're gonna have to get you to read it.
Man of Lightning. Okay, I'll do it. Power Girl co-creator Jerry Conway wants to see manga creators taken to task for their rampant sexism and misogyny. Good luck with that. We're getting a lot of pushback against manga and anime recently because it's becoming so popular is why.
Exactly.
But here's
affecting their wallets now.
Yeah, that's right. It is. But here's the thing. I can tell you unequivocally that Japan does not give a shit. It does not. Because
how are they going to affect them?
They're not going to. But you go ask any Japanese. You can find a little old Japanese lady, right? The purest driven snow, live in the countryside her whole life, farm. She's all bent halfway in her back because she spent so much time in the fields. You go find that little old lady, and she will tell you without any hesitations, everyone loves tits.
Yeah.
I like anime with the big hooters.
But I'm just saying,
everyone. I don't even think there's anybody alive besides 4 people that I've met in my whole life, 4 men, all from the same family, had some weird genetic defect in their brain that made them not like boobies. But everybody else I've ever met,
I've known gay dudes who just like to grab a tit.
Dog, it didn't matter. Everybody likes boobies.
They're awesome.
Everyone loves boobies, and you know, I even have found myself being corrected. In Japan, I'm not a person of Christian persuasion, but I was certainly raised in the church, just like most Americans, and I am therefore sexually conservative, I know that doesn't make sense coming out of my mouth.
No, you're not.
But in some ways I am though, Booster, comparatively. But here in Japan, they have no hang-ups about such things. A pretty girl is a pretty girl. Titties are nice. No one cares, and it doesn't matter how much you scream and you point fingers at them. They don't care, dude. They really, really don't care. This right here, you can walk into a convenience store and see this no problem, and no one cares. Kids have no shyness about it. You don't see kids going, getting all red faced and blush if they see a sexy little picture like this. They don't care because it's just normal. People like the opposite sex. It is the normal thing to do. Women like men and men like women. And everyone thinks tits are nice because we suckle upon them for a year, the first year of our life. Everyone appreciates them. The Japanese don't care. They really don't. So Mr. Conway, you can bitch all you want. And I don't know how you have an opinion on this, seeing as you are the co-creator of Power Girl. And has she not had a boob window forever? I mean, who are you to talk about it?
Forever. She's always had the mummy milkies.
She has. So I don't even understand what he's going on about.
It's amazing to me to watch these men, and I use that term extremely loosely if they have a problem with sexism and misogyny. These men promote things that only ugly lesbians care about. Listen, any pretty girl or even decent looking woman isn't super upset if she doesn't have the biggest rack in the world. She'd still probably like a bigger set of jugs, but hey, is what it is, right? There's if there's still got there's sex appeal. They don't really lose their mind about it. But regardless of all that, the women who actually do have large bosoms, I really hate that word. I'm glad it's fallen out of favor. They feel literally attacked by all of this. You can't show boobies shit. You can't have women with boobies.
I bet.
And they should, because yes, it's an attack from envious women who have convinced Sims that they need to come protect them from the misogyny of seeing a woman with larger boobs than them.
And
that's all it is.
It is, and it shows a complete lack of understanding of the female journey as well. If you actually know women, if you've had daughters, if you have any understanding of women at all, you understand that women, when those breasts first come in, when they're little, it's a very sensitive subject in multiple ways. But it's embarrassing to them. It's like, where's this coming from? Other girls who don't develop as quickly really give big breasted girls who develop quickly a hard time. This is what happens. And they're already self-conscious about it. And a lot of the large-breasted women are very self-conscious about their breasts. For a man, we're like, baby, you flaunt that shit, you go. That's how we feel about it because we love them. But that's not how they feel it.
You're not wrong at all.
No,
I constantly, my beautiful wife's in here with me right now. She's putting on her pajamas. I constantly have to tell her that it's okay to show off the girls, because I think you're correct. I think you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
A lot of larger-breasted women, for many different reasons, don't like to show the cleavage. When me, as a man, over here, this guy loves it.
Yeah.
Love of the boobas.
But I'm just saying,
big fan of the boobies.
The female experience is different. It really is, and I think it has not only to do with society as a whole, great in the greater society as itself, but it also has to do with how girls treat each other when they're young. I can give you good examples. Like had this. Oh, there's been years now. I don't know, 7-8 years ago, I guess. But I had a girl in the school, and she was with me from like middle of junior high through high school. Right, good kid, hard worker, good student. Good kid. But she maybe it was early junior high. I can't remember. But when she first came, she was just a normal little kid. But her development was very quick, and her breast became much larger than the normal Japanese lady would have anyway. And I noticed a transformation in her almost immediately. She was dressing just like all the other girls, just being normal. But when they started coming in heavy, because the other girls give her a hard time about it because they're jealous, I guess. But she started wearing more and more layers. By the time she got to high school, dude, all you could see was it was just like this round bag. And underneath there was a normal sized girl, but she was so intimidated by those breasts that she had to do everything she could to cover them and eliminate them completely. And I thought it was, of course, obviously I'm not going to say anything at all to her about it. That's not my business. But I felt sad for her, right? That's why should she have to be like that? But a lot of women go through this. It's very
Yeah.
normal. My wife has even mentioned similar experiences when she was young, because for Japanese, she's rather large-breasted. But this is a nonsense thing. These idiots don't think about what they're saying whatsoever. And the fact that men appreciate breasts is not a bad thing. It's what motivates us to perpetuate the species, you dumb shit. I don't know. Although Booster's probably a butt man, I'm sure.
I'm
No,
a
no,
titty man.
he's a big old. He likes some big old floppy, sloppy,
I-
nasty. He
Oh,
likes
that's
them
it.
big,
I do.
nasty ones.
It's
Yeah.
actually it's becoming a problem. Like
Is it?
once you get past an F cup, oh,
Oh, Jesus.
it starts getting bad. But
That
then
is
you
a bit
still want
big.
to see them bigger. Yeah.
But
Not good.
okay, Mr. Conway. This one is a bit bewildering to me though, Thundero, because he's the co-creator of Power Girl. Power Girl has always been over-sexualized. I mean, I don't mind it, but I mean, let's be honest. Power Girl is an
See,
over-sexualized character.
I'm gonna throw in a devil's advocate for that. All right,
Yeah.
I'll do it. Jerry Conway created this character in about the 80s, 70s, maybe or something, right?
Yeah.
Or co-created it even. And the large breast wasn't really his idea so much, right? The artist of Power Girl kept making the breasts more and more bigger. More and more bigger?
More
Oh,
and more big. Yes.
He kept making it tits bigger
Biggins.
until the editors had to come in and say stop. So you can't really point that part of it to him. And also, when it's been about 40 odd years, you could say the man's probably changed his mind since then.
Well, he's become a gay man, if that's what you mean. Yeah.
He's become a raging liberal idiot, but I don't think it's fair to point hypocrisy in this regard.
All right, fine. That's fine. Thank you very much. Was not aware of that. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter what Mr. Conway's opinion is because Japan doesn't care. I mean, and I
Well,
don't.
the other thing I want to point out, Chester, see, you're doing it again. We all do it all the time. They're so damn subtle with it. You're using their language. There's nothing sexualized about this character. She's sexy. She was drawn sexy. You can't sexualize a fictional character because it's not real.
Oh well, semantics.
We're-
All right, fine.
No, those semantics matter, my friend. That's how they win. That's how they do it. That's how they got so many people to go along with the masking nonsense and get people to go along with the vaccination that they don't need and get people to go along with all the bullshit they've done
Yeah.
for the last forever, because what they do first is they change the language. The most powerful force in human society is language. In every society we have, it is our superpower over the animal kingdom. The ability to communicate is what makes us better than them. Period.
Yeah, I understand your point. You are correct, but let me clarify my point. I remember when Power Girl came out, and I thought the boob window was stupid.
You thought looking at titties was stupid?
I thought
Are
it
you
was
a gay man?
dumb. I thought it was a dumb cat costume design. I've never liked it. I think it's dumb looking. Why would she have that? I don't mind sexy costume design. There are
Well,
plenty
that's
I do like,
awesome.
but I've never cared for it. I always thought it was a dumb costume design. That's my opinion. From
Their
day,
opinion.
day one.
My wife just asked.
Oh, bro, Chester's
my
a
wife-
homo.
My wife just asked. She was reading the headline there, and she said, "So does that make her a whore for having big boobs?" I said, "Yeah, in their mind, apparently.
Yeah, it's probably.
How
yeah.
dare a woman be large-breasted and dare to be prettier than other women? That
It's like-
bitch."
It's like the whole Campbell controversy we had last week, right? Where the redrawing of Mary Jane, right? And that of course we come to find out that there was actually a girl who sat for that portrait, and she actually gave him some opinion, and we see a picture of her. She looks just like Mary Jane in that picture because it is her, right? It's the same kind of thing. But I get your point, Thundera. You are correct. That is how they do that. I just personally never care for the costume.
I like seeing big breast women. It doesn't make me feel
I've got my wife ranting in here about it because she's really sick of being demonized for being born with better genetics than these people and having large boobs.
Yeah, well, tell
It
her
makes
that
it makes her self-conscious. It makes her whole family self-conscious because most of the women in her family, most women in my family, in this area, really, the Midwest.
Oh, well, what are your single woman's names and addresses?
Yeah, sure.
Unfortunately, they're pretty much all married.
Thundero, please tell your wife that No, Thundero, tell your wife that I appreciate her boobs.
Chester would like you to know that he appreciates your big boobies. She said, "Oh, thank you."
Yes. Just
I don't
have
care,
it out
Chester.
there.
I'm one of those guys. I'll show her titties off to the world. I'm proud of them.
Yeah,
I got those.
you
Nobody
might
else
wanna
can have
ask
them.
her what she thinks about it, but I get you. It is the most recognizable part of the character, Joshua. I do agree with that. I just never care for it. What does she want to say?
Just as being a homo.
Now she's ranting about how expensive it is that her bras are. How expensive her bras are.
Oh, it's true. It is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But anyway, it's dumb. It's stupid. Moving
It's
on.
very stupid. It's designed to marginalize beautiful. None of these people, including Mr. Conway, is going to go in on how muscular Superman's chest is. It's the exact same thing. It's done because it's an ideal standard, an idealized standard of beauty. To have this man look like Superman does. Everybody would kill to look like Henry Cavill. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
And every woman on the planet would literally spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to be built like Power Girl.
Oh, they do.
So yeah,
actually, they actually.
Yeah,
do.
there's nothing wrong with it at all. In fact, I think it's something we should revere. I think it's something we should all promote as a civilization. Is the ideal. Not even if it's not realistic. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's an ideal. It's something to strive for. Period. And the fact that people like Mr. Conway over here want to attack it because, I don't know, it makes him feel good to simp out for women that he's not even interested in, which is even weirder.
My pee-pee got big. Oh.
It's just pathetic virtue signaling, and it's an attack on any woman who dares to not look like a land whale or look like some form of ghoulish character who's crawled out of a crypt. How dare they be beautiful? How dare they be fit and have large bosoms?
Yeah.
Booster, I really hate that word. I'm going to keep using it because it triggers me.
Using it, make you feel better.
This is the strangest logic, but you do you, bro.
Yeah, Hellrod, thank you very much for defending me. That's right. You tell him. You tell him. Go ahead, Booster.
What is Hellrod saying? What incorrect thing is Hellrod saying?
No, he's correct. Go ahead. Read the headline.
You guys are going, how is just wrong for not like Gold Spot's gym? Because he's a homo. So Anthony Mackie says he hasn't received pushback for a black man becoming Captain America.
Of course not, dumbass. Next. Sorry. Go ahead.
Exactly. What do we have in? Netflix reveals first look at Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe revelation. Tila gets half-shaved head look. Of course.
Now, we've been getting imagery from this. Kevin Smith is not the Kevin Smith of old. But the art, and I'm going to show you, looks pretty good. The
He's
Tila
probably
thing.
been crying.
What do you say? He's always be crying. That's right. But he's been having to defend here quite a bit because there's been little things about what's going on Tila, what wokeness is coming out, and yada yada yada. And he keeps coming back. This is true to Masters of the Universe. This is a He-Man story. Tila is a side character. He keeps coming and vehemently defending that this is true He-Man. And he's been saying it enough that I believe him. So it looks good. If you look at the art, it looks pretty good. I don't think it's so bad. Yeah.
I don't think anyone should trust anything coming from Netflix. I don't care if they're telling you that pasta is noodles. Don't believe them because they're known liars. Known, Booster. Liars. They lie constantly and they're radically left. Hard left. Everybody in that organization, at the top anyway, making decisions, is a hard, not just a lefty, like right next to Mao, Lefty. They're rubbing noses with him, Lefty. So no, don't trust anything coming out of Netflix ever. I don't care how good it looks. If you already have Netflix, I personally, in my opinion, I would suggest you cancel it. But if you had, for some reason, don't want to, then go ahead and take that bullet for us. Watch it, let us know, and if it's worth a shit, then I'll pirate it. But they ain't getting my money.
Yeah. If anything, I think that He-Man's a bit too beefcake. To be honest with you, it's a little.
He would not be very good at fighting. He would not be very good at fighting.
We're just looking at the art here, and it looks pretty good. There is confirmation, Hellrod, right here. There's Teela, and she has the modern lesbian look, which every damn hero they have has to have. They keep throwing this at us with the one side of the head shaved and the hair just kind of laying over to the other side. We've seen a lot of it.
I'm gonna go through this. Okay, I'm gonna just say real quick. Yeah, it's a little bit cringy, sure, but from everything else we've seen, is this a massive deal breaker? Is this gonna be the thing that makes you go, "Oh fuck it, I don't want to watch anymore"? Because to me, that just seems childish. It seems silly to me. It does,
especially as he's saying that this is a He-Man story. She is a side character. It's not. The story is about Adam and him becoming He-Man, and that's good.
I'm more
offended by Orko, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. I'm not being like, you shouldn't have any negative opinions or something. I'm gonna give it a go. I just feel like sometimes we overreact on some silly shit. It's made by the animators for Blood of Zeus, which kicked ass. If you haven't watched that,
that was good.
It's a really good series.
Yeah, I did like
it.
Studio.
Their constant attacks have made people very sensitive, and I think people need to toughen the fuck up. All right, it's a hairstyle. Yeah, it's usually worn by triggered lefty lesbians, but you know what? My wife, when I met her, she had a blue perm, and I was worried that, oh shit, she has a blue perm. Thought she was going to be some crazy lefty. No, she's further right than me. So just calm down. You're becoming the thing you hate if a hairstyle sends you into apoplexia. All right, calm down.
Don't want to watch it.
Well, this there are several tweets here, but this one I think is the one that's most important. Booster, why don't you go ahead and read this tweet?
We have Kevin Smith as showrunner. I really could have used these story suggestions before we locked the scripts. However, no. He-Man does no stepping aside, and Teela has no girlfriend in our show. The storyline is pretty dark and way metal. Before Revelation, we were calling it End of the Universe.
However, he has had several tweets, and he is vehemently saying, no, 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 no. So, good.
Good.
I'm assuming that's Men at Arms, Hellrod. I would think the guy in the poncho is probably Men at Arms. But there is some little bit of redesign going on here, and that's fine. We can clearly recognize who's who, particularly the two that are important: Skeletor and He-Man and the Magic Lady. Of course, she's important. I actually really like the picture of Adam up here. I thought this is I like this. This is good. He does look young, and but he also doesn't look as he looks different enough, because you remember the original He-Man. He and He-Man look exactly the same. They're both overly muscled, and this is better. I like this better. So I think it's good.
Shit.
The only real problem I have with Smith, I guess let me rephrase that. Smith can be a pretty good writer when he wants to be. If it's actually something he cares about. I remember he did that episode of The Flash. One of the ones that led to eventually them doing a form of Flashpoint, and it was really good. He wrote it and directed it. It was one of the best Flash episodes I ever saw anyway, but I stopped watching right after that pretty much. But he can be really good. He's very hit or miss, and his movies, like his comedies, are very much a niche thing, but I've always thought they were hilarious. But they're just over-the-top stupid humor, so of course I find them hilarious. But yeah, I think Kevin Smith is capable of pulling off He-Man properly and at least making it fun to watch. My issue is it's Netflix. And what Netflix does is they'll give you a good season, maybe even two if you're lucky, and then the bullshit starts.
That's true.
Then the fuckery comes rolling in,
Yeah.
and it doesn't leave until the thing dies.
Yeah.
Like, or they'll just start off with like Iron Fist, and it will be so utterly laughably bad in all the action set pieces will be so terrible that it's worse than Power Rangers, for crying out loud. And then the next season they're just going to be like, no one's really paying attention to this anyway, so we're going full woke, full speed ahead on the woke train, and we're just going to replace the white male lead with the Asian chick because reasons.
I like the Asian chick.
I like the. Well, of course you do. I liked her too. Actually, she was a pretty good character.
Which is much better than the main one, in fact.
She was.
Yeah. Christ.
That's not.
But my
all
point
his
is
fault, though,
Netflix
but-
has a habit of this. They'll give you what you want a little bit. They're like a drug dealer. Give you that taste, and then they'll come in with the whammy later on.
Yeah. No, that's true. And thank you, Hellrod. So that guy in the poncho is Roboto. All right, thank you. But and to add a little bit to what Thunder just said, Kevin Smith desperately needs a win.
Yeah,
he
And
desperately
he needs to
a
stop
win.
crying, for goodness sake.
That's another thing he needs to do. But he needs a win. So hopefully, at least season 1 will be good. But then again, if you remember, we did have a He-Man reboot a while back, along with Thundercats. I thought they were great, and then they just disappeared.
Yeah, it was around 2011 before Cal Arts took over, when animation was actually really awesome.
Yeah.
You had that 2011 Thundercats, you had Tron Uprising, you had Young Justice,
Mhm.
right? All these freaking great looking shows, but then Adventure Time just blew them out of the water, so that's what they went with from now on.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate because there was some really neat stuff. However, keep our fingers crossed. Looks good. And then last but not least, to end our day on a very, very happy note, Thundero. Oh,
a
no,
happy
sorry.
note.
Sorry, Booster. Sorry, I apologize.
It's Booster! Amazon Studios chief Jennifer Salk says Lord of the Rings TV series needs a giant global audience.
All right. This
You mean like Lord of the Rings already has? I
Yeah,
don't.
know.
What?
It's dumb. Hugely
Kind of like Lord of the
popular
Rings, yeah.
worldwide. Yeah. But
It's niche indie thing, Lord of the Rings. What is this?
I need people to understand that the Lord of the Rings saga, aside from the Bible and the Quran, I think it might even tie the Quran actually, is the most sold book series there is.
it was voted number 1
Period.
book of the 20th century.
Yeah, I think it's got a pretty big global audience, guys.
Yeah.
I think it's
Okay.
right near the top there. I think it's
Yeah.
gonna be fine. It's literally as big as the 2 biggest religions.
Yeah. No,
it is
and
one of the big religions at this
it
point.
is. But dozens and dozens of language translated. You can go to any Japanese bookstore and find a Japanese translation of them easily.
Yep.
Easily, right? But anyway, the argument. This news has been out for a while, and everyone has an opinion, and everyone's seeing the giant global audience. They've been kind of leaning, it's China. They mean China. They mean China. Although China has been canceling films left and right because they no longer have to deal with Trump, and they're trying to flex their muscles and intimidate the Biden administration. So they've been doing that in multiple ways, which is what China does. However, in this simple little statement, needs a giant global audience. Is she referring to China, or is she referring more to their idea that everyone is woke?
I think so.
The latter. She means Twitter.
I think so, because everyone's been going the China route. Everyone's, China, they mean China, and that might be true, but I don't know. I kind of think that this is a SJW person that is leaning toward the, like you said, the Twitter. I think that that's what they're talking about.
One of every color is what she's saying.
Yeah, I think so.
What she means is we really desperately need sub-Saharan elves. Need them. Gotta have them.
Yeah.
Gotta have them. Listen, it's 2021, bigot, all right? Elves can be any color they want.
Yeah, I guess. But of course, not for nothing that it is supposed to be a recreation of the Anglo-Saxon lore. But whatever. Like I said, everyone and their brother has been taking that to mean China, and they could be right on that. But that's not, when I saw it, that's not what struck me. What struck me was they want to make it woke.
No, they want to destroy it. That's what they want. They want to do to Lord of the Rings, to Tolkien, what they did to Star Wars, what they did to Game of Thrones, which that was not even so much wokeness that destroyed that. That was just shit writing. They want to do what they did to Star Trek. They want to take the things that Western men especially, and really men all over the world with this one especially, love and destroy them because they're vindictive, evil little cunts.
Yeah,
That's
no, that's
why.
fair. That's fair. But also keep in mind that Bezos has just gone through a divorce, and I'm sure he's kind of pissy right now.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Well, he's not, though, because that divorce was purely so he could keep his assets. What he's doing is he's shifting around assets because he knows that a big turmoil is coming in the stock market. It's why all the rich guys are getting divorced right now. Bezos, Gates, that's what it's about. All this stuff like, Melinda Gates didn't know he liked him and Jeffrey Epstein were so bullshit. You were married to him for 25 years. You knew who he was. Get out of here.
And he's been allowed to go see a mistress for a very long time, and she's agreed to it. So I mean, there could be truth to that. But whatever this Salke or Jennifer here is talking about, it's not. I don't think it's good because if they're
Who was it? There was. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm trying to remember this guy's name, and it's bugging me. They had somebody working on this before they had one of the big. They've had like 2 or 3 big shakeups working on this damn series. One of them working on it was like the preeminent scholar on Tolkien, literally, legitimately, and he left for creative differences, which means they were going to wokeify it. He didn't approve of that. I can't remember his name now, but yeah, he was working on this with them to try and actually make a great Lord of the Rings series, which I would support if the right people worked on it. But that's not what we're going to get. We're going to get Game of Thrones light. You're going to get sex in it everywhere. You're going to get extreme amounts of violence, like unnecessary amounts.
Yeah.
You're going to get woke shit, preaching about racisms and sexisms and all that stuff.
And weird hardcore orc sex scenes.
Yeah, just randomly. It's just going to turn into a full-on 3D porno with orc sex for a laugh.
For a laugh. Well, Hellrod, you could be right on that, dude. We'll have to see. There is one thing that's interesting. If this is they're talking more about the Chinese market. In the movies, particularly, the Men of the East. They used to. A lot of people said, "Well, Tolkien was talking about the Baltics, or he was talking about the Middle East and the Greece, the Greek states, and stuff like that." But Tolkien himself explained very clearly who the Men of the East were. He was referring to the Mongol hordes, right?
Yeah.
So there were actual Asians in his story. He just didn't name them that way. But when they made the movies, they didn't use that. They just used this generically Middle Eastern brownish people thing, or whatever, with gigantic elephants, which is neat. So you could have that. So if the Chinese are okay with being the bad guys, rock on.
Apparently, the scholar's name is Tom Shippey. He is a Tolkien scholar, and he was working with them on this show, and he bounced for, blah blah blah, creative differences.
Oh,
blah
that's
blah. In other words,
he's the official.
They're going to screw this up.
Well, he's the official Tolkien expert, by the way.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he's by the family, if he's been kicked out, then oof. Or you said he left?
Yeah.
It says Amazon's Lord of the Rings parts ways with Tolkien scholar Tom Shippey. So either he left or he was told to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, not good, man. Kind of same thing they did with ending of Game of Thrones. Aragorn was black. Well, actually, Aragorn is part Atlantean, if we want to really get down to it.
Numenorian.
Yeah, that's right, Numenorian. Oh, Jesus Christ. Because when I first heard this, I was like, oh, okay, I'm up for that. A little bit of Silmarillion. I'm down with that, dude. But at the same time, remember, we had announcements of Conan being done and all kind of things like that, and they all got canceled. The only one that seems to have survived is this one, and we know that they're having a lot of trouble with filming. They're way crazy, way over budget. This has been an absolute production hell to get this to film.
Good. I don't want it. Stop it. Jeff, Mr. Bezos, Lex Luthor of the real world, stop this. Stop this immediately. Don't do it.
Peace.
Cease and desist even.
Yes.
It's a bad plan. It's a terrible idea. You're going to lose your ass. You already have. This isn't going to generate you anything but hatred, which maybe you love. I don't know. But I'm just... Nobody wants this. Nobody wants to see you fuck this up. You know how many people were terrified of Peter Jackson's trilogy when it was coming out? I remember even as a young man, there were people I could talk to them who were not happy about this thing. And a lot of people who hated it because it wasn't book accurate.
No,
But
it wasn't.
these people were very ready to just rip that thing to shreds. Luckily, it was a success and was, in my opinion, one of the best adaptations ever done.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, we just watched the extended edition of Fellowship of the Ring last night, and it's just it still holds up. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's incredible how much of the CG and everything, well, kind of costumes and practical effects, all just looks great.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the best thing for them to do here is to just not do it. If you don't have somebody like Tom Shippey on board or the Tolkien estate directly on board, don't do it. Just don't. Just leave it alone. Just let it be.
Well,
Let it be.
I do know that the Tolkien estate, because it's multi-billion-dollar asset, to keep that in mind. They do have final say on stuff. So that is at least something. And Mighty Geek Studios says that foreign markets could care less if they are represented in foreign films. That's true, because they have their own film studios. They make their own stuff.
Not only that, they're not woke retards like Hollywood is, and like all these people are who genuinely believe that they must have representation by skin color.
Yeah.
No, you don't. That's not true. That's not true at all.
And
what you need is good storytelling, and people will flock to it.
Well, and besides, they expect Hollywood movies to be about European people. I mean, of course. Yeah. It's not odd.
Yes.
Like, you know what?
Well, I think anybody in the East especially, or really anywhere, going to a movie about Lord of the Rings is going to expect Aragorn to look like a white man. Crazy, right? The character's supposed to look like that. He's described at length by Tolkien what he looks like.
Yeah.
I think we should maybe, I don't know, just give them what they want. You know, just crazy.
To be fair, Viggo's too pretty to be playing Aragorn.
He is a pretty boy.
But
the thing is he's not. He's not a pretty man at all anymore.
For Aragorn, he is. But you know, here's a little point to end this on, and I do need to kind of wrap this up here. Do you know what the most popular movie in Japan is? Most famous, legendary movie in Japan. Can you possibly think to guess it?
Avengers 2?
Nope.
Oh.
Roman Holiday. Number 2, Casablanca.
Yeah.
Right.
The Japanese don't hate white people like the people who run Hollywood do.
Yeah.
They just they're fine with them. Like, oh, hey, a person with a white people movie, cool. Let's watch it.
Oh, hey, Gaijin!
Hey, that was pretty good. That was a good love story. That was a good whatever. They're not the most literal pragmatists. I think they might actually be robot people on the planet, the Japanese.
Yeah.
And even they don't give a shit about this. They just don't care. They care about being entertained. That's all they care about.
Yeah. And
crazy,
Booster,
right?
Yeah, it is crazy. Booster, if you don't want to get smacked in the mouth, you got to say Gai Gokujin. Just so you know.
Gaijin!
There you go. Now you're good.
Ohio!
All right.
Goodness
gracious. Anyway, thank you all very much for coming. Lots of great comments in the chat. We appreciate it.
Yours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
A lot of these things can be annoying and frustrating, sure. But for me, it's good to talk about it, get it off your chest. But it's also a good laugh because these people are literally burning themselves down. Now, in the long run, that means we just have to be patient and wait for things to turn around and start getting some better content. But in the meantime, we have the entertainment of them eating themselves because they do that quite well. Now, if you haven't, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the New York Times and the Washington Post, who are just a tad liberal, just a touch, have been blasting the Biden administration for his failures, blasting him.
Yeah. Chester, that's because they're going to replace him with Kamala.
Where is she?
That was always the plan.
Where is she? She's nowhere.
Well, exactly. Exactly. So when she shows up, it can be a breath of fresh air.
Well,
She
whatever.
doesn't want to be seen right now because eventually, I think it's going to be next month. They're going to really push. They're going to push Biden out because he's clearly mentally handicapped.
Oh, everyone knows
Clearly.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a Kamala, what do you think a Kamala administration is going to look like? It's going to be about having sex with basketball players because that's her thing.
It's kind of her jam.
It
Yeah.
is her jam. Yeah. So there you
I can get
go.
with that, yeah.
There we go. We're going to hear about lots of basketball players visiting in the White House, so it should be good. Party hardy. All right.
So President Harris, why did LeBron James move into the White House?
Because every now and then a girl needs a big D. All right.
Oh God.
Anyway.
Hyena laugh of hers. Lord.
Oh god, yeah, that is the unfortunate thing. But anyway, I gotta go. Thank you all for coming. That was a lot of fun. Tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be doing comic book news, and I do have some things we can talk about. Same old shit though. We'll see if I can't find something more fun to talk about as well. I've been digging around. Nevertheless, Booster, what you got to say to the folks before we get out of here?
Booster, you should back my Bell's comic Vestry issue 3, or I'll cry.
They don't make Booster cry.
Don't make Booster cry.
Don't turn him into Kevin.
I've been known
Smith.
to cry. I'm not Kevin Smith, but I cry sometimes. I cry tears,
Of joy.
human tears.
Okay, fair enough. Thundera.
Real quick, I want everybody to understand that apparently the Lord of the Rings show, season 1 of the Lord of the Rings is going to cost nearly $500 million.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Just stop. Just cut your losses and stop. Anyway, that's all I got for tonight, folks. See you tomorrow.
Later, guys.
Bye, love you. Bye, love you. Bye. Mwah.